Hey, Don. So obviously there's been a lot of talk about how this is all new for you guys, but, just being here, knowing that you got another NCAA tournament game, this weekend, is this all strange?
Well, it's fun. It's a great time having an opportunity to continue prepping and working and trying to figure all the pieces out. It's really a lot of fun.
What has been sort of the preparation for Michigan? Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing initially?
Well, so far, after obviously watching their game on Monday night, you realize how athletic they are, how tough they are. They really could have been the Big Ten champions as well. They can really rebound. They can really shoot it. They can score fast. They can go inside out. And Naz Hillman is just a really, really special player, but she also is surrounded by some other really good players as well. So a very complete team, team that, has been at this point in time before in their careers last year. So a team that's experienced at the same time.
Obviously, Baylor and Ole Miss both had a lot of size at the forward spot, but, Michigan's got some taller guards too,
Right.
which has been something that you guys have had an advantage of over past couple games. I guess, how is that going to impact the game plan?
Yeah, I think they have the ability with their size to, switch some things and make life pretty difficult, and they've done that during the course of, their run as well. And so you're right, their guards are really big, and they can really rebound. They do a really good job defensively, and they are really disciplined on the offensive end at the same time.
Obviously, Kaya spent some time last game, guarding some of the forwards. Obviously, you had to deal with a ton of size, and, Kaya handled a lot of it. I guess, what are some of the strides that you've seen her make as a defender just since she came into the program?
Well, Kaya's someone who has the ability with her size and her strength, and she had that before she came here. I think that certainly her strength has continued to increase, but at the same time, she was a very gifted athlete when we recruited her. She was in the Howard Wood Special Open 200 against some of the best athletes in the country, and when we watched her during one of our team camps, I thought she jumped up and about stole a pass that I've never seen a kid make a play like that. So, she's a very good athlete for her size. I think what she's learning how to do right now is learning how to kind of trust her instincts and make plays.
When was the moment you realized that she could be a special defender?
Well, I think she had the ability when she first got here, but she had to learn how to do it, throughout the course of each possession, and how, she needed to rely on being fundamental rather than just being athletic. And I think that took a little bit of time for her in her freshman year. And then I think when she was getting closer to figuring it out, then she got hurt, unfortunately. So when she came back and we played in the NCAA tournament last year against Oregon, I thought she, for not playing really for months, came in and defended at a really high level.
And obviously, we talked about this with the Big Three about how, some of their play on this national stage has sort of maybe bumped them up to being, nationally, recognized type players. Is the same thing happening with Kaya on the defensive end?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about that, but really haven't had a chance to look at any of it either. But I do think our players are they're playing good basketball right now. They have for 2 games. We're going to need to again in order to even compete with Michigan.
What does this trip to the Sweet 16 mean for the university and the state of South Dakota?
Yeah, I think it's something that's really special for our university. I got an email this morning from actually a lady who was on our very first women's basketball team here at the University of South Dakota and says she still has a playbook. So I want to see that. That'd be kind of fun. But I think it's just been neat to see how many people around the state and honestly even around the country have started to really take notice. Certainly our USD fans, but also others around the country who are taking notice of our team and our program. And I believe that our fans are going to travel well down to Wichita. It's certainly a drivable game for our fans. And from what I've heard, we're selling some tickets. So that should be a whole lot of fun.
Obviously, this is a very historical moment for South Dakota and USD. Do you think that South Dakota is starting to show that we can compete at a higher level in sports?
Well, our football team had the number 1 play, the last second touchdown this year in Sports Illustrated. That was kind of fun. That was really a great moment. So that kind of put South Dakota on the map a little bit. And I think certainly from And this is well before I got here and before our staff got here, but the state of South Dakota has had some really great women's basketball programs. From our program and South Dakota State have done some really special things. And I think, we've just been fortunate enough to be here for a while and see it continue to grow a little bit. And that's really been a lot of fun. Now, I have a personal vested interest. I think our men's program is going to be on the rise too. And that's kind of fun since our son plays on the team. So, we're kind of excited for their program to continue growing at the same time.
Chloe Lamb is a well-known name in the state, going back to her family in Oneida and her high school days of playing basketball. But what has she specifically meant for the USD program?
Yeah, Chloe is someone who, when we first got here, and I think I got the job in April, and at that point in time, we didn't have any recruits for the next class coming in. And so we were trying to find out who was in this area, who was in this region, who was available. And Chloe's the name that kept coming up over and over again. And Chloe was someone, when we first met her and first watched her, she's just a very humble person, but also a very, very skilled basketball player and a fierce competitor. And so getting to know Chloe and getting to know her family, not just her parents, but now her whole extended family, and basically I think half the town or maybe the whole town of Oneida has been something that's really special. I think Chloe has done an amazing job of not only being a great basketball player, but being a great role model for girls in her community, but also in our region. I think she does just a tremendous job of, spending time with the girls who come up to her and talk to her, whether it's at camp, whether it's after a game. And, I think she's just really done a great job of leading in every facet.
What was the atmosphere like after that win against Baylor?
Well, the atmosphere was on the court was certainly a whole lot of fun, and to have our fans pretty close to our bench at that point in time, and to be able to celebrate with them and to sing our fight song, all those were great moments. I think what I'll remember the most out of it was walking back into the locker room and seeing some of our players who were just absolutely gassed. And to know that what it took out of them, what they gave to have a chance to compete on a national stage against one of the powerhouses in women's basketball, I think just documented to me what it really, really takes. And our players gave everything that they had, and so that was pretty fun to see.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move to Zoom here. I'm going to go ahead and start with Zach James. If you guys could start with your name and affiliation.
Hey Don, Zach James, Sioux City Journal. Just bouncing off what Michael talked about with Kaya, with her being really one of the few South Dakota girls on this roster. I know I talk about Grace a lot, but being the only Iowa girl, but Kaya being that South Dakota girl, does she feel a little bit more pride in this run, knowing that she's one of the few girls in the state?
Well, I think all of our kids from the state of South Dakota have a special pride in wearing that jersey with their state's name on it. I think representing the University of South Dakota, which has been great to our women's basketball program, means a whole lot to them. And, I know Kaya, it's kind of an interesting little fact about Kaya is that before Kaya was here, we actually had her brother KJ on our scout team. He was on our practice squad for, I can't remember if it was a year or 2 years. And so, I laugh because every time Kaya does something pretty good, then he usually sends a text and he says that he taught her how to do that, something along those lines. So we make sure that we tell him that Kaya's a much better basketball player than he is too. So when KJ watches this, I'm sure I'm going to get a text message again. But, I think Kaya certainly, it's great for her to be able to play close to home and to be able to have a chance to do the things that she's doing. I certainly think it is really special.
How nervous are you? I know you're on your own run right now, but I know Lexi's going on a little bit of a run at Grand Valley. How nervous are you for her going on the D2 run that the Lakers are going on right now?
Yeah, it's really special. Our daughter Lexi is playing, their team's playing in the Final Four tonight. I'm down in Alabama, and so it's been great to be able to kind of follow. Certainly thankful that we can't be there, but also disappointed we can't be there. So it's kind of a weird situation to really be in, but I certainly am really, really excited for her. It's kind of a side note too. So before we came to the University of South Dakota, I was coaching at Northern Kentucky University, and Layla Filia, who plays obviously at Michigan and who is incredible, was Lexi and Layla were AAU teammates. And so we've had some pretty interesting conversations, just about how small of the circle really is in women's basketball and how connected everything really seems to be. And so it really is fun, really kind of excited, trying to figure out, when we can hopefully get Lexi to Wichita. And hopefully it's not until after the national championship game, but, we have to kind of wait and see what happens.
Zach Borg, if you want to go ahead.
Yep. Don, Zach Borg, Dakota News Now. Did you mentioned it a little bit in that press conference afterwards, after the game, but did you think much about the 2020 group, and do you kind of hope the seniors on that team were kind of sharing in this a little bit wherever they were? I know Taylor was down there.
Yeah, to see Taylor Frederick, who was part of that 1920 squad, who didn't have a chance to compete in the NCAA tournament, and that was a really, really special team. To see her there, I almost started crying before the game, and that was I didn't know she was coming all the way down to Texas. That was really special. What's kind of neat is that Kira Duffy or Kira Eastmo now and Taylor and Megan are all going to make it to our tournament game in Wichita. So they'll be behind the bench, and certainly want them to enjoy the moment with us because they didn't have a chance to have that moment. So looking forward to seeing them and having an opportunity for them to be there and hopefully be cheering pretty loudly for us. We'll see what happens.
And I know you mentioned it, how rare it is to beat a team like Baylor on their home court. I think that was some ridiculously long win streak they had. Certainly Michigan's a 3 seed, and you could have another number 1 seed on the other end of this. But to win a game like that, should it give your team confidence that, hey, we can pretty much beat anybody who lines up across from us?
Well, I think the game of basketball really depends on matchups, and certainly the matchup with Ole Miss and the matchup with Baylor, very different than the matchup we have from Michigan. And so I do think it gives you confidence to know that you can compete. At the same time, we better figure out how we compete because it's a little bit different style and different personnel and a different way we have to go about doing some things.
And the last thing I was going to ask, not to compare this place to the Corn Palace or anything like a past one, but
Hank's not here. It's
This will probably be the biggest arena, biggest venue you played in. Biggest lights, just kind of the biggest show. How do you do you want them to kind of tune all that out, or do they kind of just kind of say, well, just go live in the moment?
Well, I think for us, we're really fortunate in the Summit League because when we play in the Summit League tournament, we have a great fan base and a great following and a great crowd. Now, certainly not all the crowd and probably less than half the crowd is actually for us and was this year in the championship game. But to play in front of that setting, I think certainly helps you be a little bit more prepared for playing in front of big crowds. And I thought we had a chance, obviously, at Baylor to do that. It'll be interesting to see what it exactly looks like in Wichita. But I think for us, we are who we are. We're basic, simple, fundamental. We're not anything fancy. We just try to play good basketball and see what happens. And so for us, every moment matters. We just want our kids to play all out, but also what's a part of what we do is they have a lot of fun when they're playing.
All right, I can't quite read the names there. Taylor, do you have questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, this is Taylor Eldridge here at the Wichita Eagle. And I was just curious, a lot of Wichita fans will be coming out, obviously no close team here. So, a lot of people just gravitate to the underdog. Just kind of explain to people, why you guys would be a fun team to root for just the Wichita fans coming out to watch the games.
Well, if we're going to recruit fans, can we bring them some T-shirts? That'd be great. We'll get them in some red. That'd be incredible. I love that. I didn't even think about that, Taylor, but let's find a way to get that done. That's a good call. We should get on. You and Brittany can get on a phone call after this, and let's get that coordinated. But certainly, I think our team is fun to watch because our kids really play hard. They really get after it. They play with a great deal of energy, enthusiasm. They share the basketball. They're in attack mode. So I think they're fun to watch. I think our fans here have started to appreciate. It's been a little bit of an evolution over time that our program has. We've been a good defensive team. We've been an improved defensive team kind of each year. So our fans understand to cheer for us when we're on defense. So if the Wichita fans want to help us out with that would be greatly appreciated too.
Anything
that was it. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, what size shirt, Taylor?
I'll take a large.
Attaboy. All right, got it.
All right, is that Sean down in the corner there?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, Sean Bauer, Kellan Media Group. Don, Maddie Kroll, she's started every game for you in her 2 years. And if you're looking at a box score, maybe you don't see the impact because, I think she's 6 points this year. She steals, but what is her impact out on the floor?
I think Maddie is someone who does a great job of trying to help us control the tempo of the game in a lot of ways by, starting our defense and getting some pressure on the ball, ideally if we can, or at least trying to get matched up, trying to get us in a spot where we're matched up. She kind of is the leader on that end of the court for us. And then offensively, someone that kind of gets us into what we're trying to get into offensively. Now, we're fortunate that we have 5 kids on the court that can all handle it. And so if she's taken away to get it entered, that somebody else has the ability to do that, and we're okay with that. It's not like it has to go through one player's hands. So I think she's someone who, because of how she plays, she plays so hard. She plays kind of fearless basketball. She's a lot of fun, and I think she's someone who her teammates really count on a great deal in a lot of ways that don't necessarily have to be scoring points.
How much does it help her having Chloe and Liv, two, very good guards ahead of her to kind of, learn from?
Well, it's been great because in practice we can tell all of our players, watch Chloe or watch Liv in this drill. Try to replicate that. Look how they move their feet. Look how they shift their hips. Look how they're protecting the ball. Look how they get the ball high. Look how they score away from the defense. Look how they close out. Whatever it is, we are able to use those two as examples a great deal, and that really, seeing it really, really helps them.
And then final question, I'm out of here from me. Was it 3 minutes or so, 4 minutes left in the game? You're up 7. She gets that big and 1 to put you back up 10. How much confidence can someone gain from getting a big bucket like that in a big moment?
Yeah, Maddie is someone who I think plays with a great deal of tenacity, but she also plays with a great deal of fearlessness. I think she's somebody who wants to make things happen, and whatever that means. If that means that her job is to space the floor, or that means her job is to attack the basket, she wants to make things happen, and that was a big bucket for us. That was a calming moment because we couldn't score. So she found a way to put the thing in the basket and individually just made a really impressive play.
All right, James, do you have anything? Did I catch you on mute?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Trying to see. Marcus, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead if that's all right.
Yep.
Marcus Traxler here at the Mitchell Republic. 2 questions for you, Dawn. You held Baylor under 60. I know that's kind of one of the major stats in your era is how well you've held teams under 60 points. You almost had Ole Miss under 60 and did it in the Summit Championship game. How much does that come up in practice, that particular number? Or, when you're talking about goals of, hey, if we keep teams under 60, we're going to have a very good chance to win with the way you play defense.
As much as it probably seems like it's an important stat, it's not one that we ever talk about. So we talk more about each possession and, overall field goal percentage and limited opportunities. So that's actually not a statistic that we track per se in our practice or in our in-game goals, but it is something that I think is one of those numbers that has become a product of doing things in the way that we do things. So I don't think it's necessarily that number as much as the way that we've gone about trying to continue to get better.
There's been some questions here talking about what it means to South Dakota and the level of talent in this state. Do you feel like when you're recruiting and when you're bringing in new players to South Dakota that level of talent is maturing and frankly getting better because they're seeing how good the level is already and they want to match that or exceed it?
Well, I'd say this. I don't know if that's exactly why it's the level is really high, but there's some really good players in our state and in our region. And I think there's some really good coaches that have developed some young ladies into not only being skilled players, but being some pretty tough competitors. And, I think that's something that we're certainly really thankful for, because recruiting from our immediate region is our first goal, but then also we've been able to supplement within our recruiting with some kids from outside of our region, because they're special. They bring us something a little bit unique, or a little bit something that maybe we need in a certain class or a certain position. And so we've been able to, I think, kind of do a little bit of both.